Hey, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We're going to go through and talk about your motion and your delivery and break it down in a couple key spots and kind of, break it down and show you what we look for and ways to sort of help ourselves get consistent, maximize our body, keep ourselves healthy and just basically try to get as much out of ourselves as we can. And so overall, really good mechanics, very impressive. I especially like how you're using your lower half. We'll talk a lot about lower half. That's just sort of the main driving force, the biggest factor with velocity and everything is just getting our body rolling, getting the legs going, driving with our hips, using everything there, and you're doing a really good job of getting extension, getting down the mound. You got just a little bit, you're just kind of cutting off a little bit at the end through your lower half. And I'll explain that a little bit more in detail when we get through it, but we're going to go back to the start here and kind of go through the steps. So basically, we'll kind of go over and look at, how we're set up, how we're starting, what our weight's doing, what our balance is doing, and just kind of go from there, all right? So right off the bat, through the wind-up, you're staying sort of over that back leg. You're not seeing a whole lot of movement. One of the great things I see is eyes on that target. All right, a lot of times you see guys look down at the ground, then they keep looking down, and then all of a sudden they realize they're out here and they're trying to pick up the target. So you're doing really good at that. Getting up here, the height of your leg kick, all right, looks like it's about right here at this frame. All right, you just see a nice, closed off leg. Your hips are nice and closed. All right, you have a big high leg kick, which a lot of times we kind of go against. We don't like to see it, but with you, as you see, there's no posture change. So that's one of the reasons we don't like to see it, is because a lot of times guys kick up and then their head goes back, their spine starts tilting, but you're not doing that, so that's fine by us. There's no reason to try to limit that, because you're maintaining your posture, you're maintaining your balance. Obviously if you weren't, we'd tell you to calm that down a little bit, but I mean, you're pretty solid with that, so that's good for you. All right, so now what we get to is we get a little bit of timing issue. All right, so what we want to try to see here at this height, all right, we want to see hips start to go forward right about here. All right, we want to see our hips start to go forward, and we want to see our hands start breaking. All right, so you can see you're starting to drive forward, that leg's coming down, but your hands haven't come out of your glove yet until right here. All right, so your hands have broke, back at this frame right here, whereas we want to try to see them get going a little bit sooner. All right, so sort of that timing, you think about right here, sort of think about, your left hand kind of pushing that leg down to get going. So we just kind of want to see more path down. So kind of as this leg's coming down, we want to try to see as your hands start to move down too. All right, so you can see they're just kind of staying up right around your chin, and then they kind of come out and break late. All right, so you're just late with your timing. All right, and so what that does is, especially during a game when you're kind of amped up, you got a lot of juices flowing, is that just kind of leads to inconsistencies. Your arm path isn't as clean. You're more apt to kind of push the ball. So just work on that timing. Let the hands kind of work down with your leg. Don't keep them up around your chin, so you can kind of get that timing. We want to be able to repeat our arm path and repeat everything, and so that will help you out a lot there. So now as you're coming down, all right, you're getting really good extension. All right, so you can see right here at this leg, or at a foot strike here, all right, looks like you're pretty good in line. All right, you see a whole lot of torque, which is that hip starting to turn before that upper body. So you got a lot of good things working here. You got the hips involved, you got legs going. It might look like you might have over-rotated a little bit. It's hard to tell, if you draw a line from that back foot to the catcher, it should be in line. It's kind of hard to see if you really did or not. But anyways, the biggest thing that I want you to work on, though, is this front side, all right? And you can see that at your foot strike, it's starting to come off early, all right? So your back elbow is already kind of flexing, whereas at this point, we'd like to try to see it more out here. Haven't rotated yet. All right, so you're just losing a little bit of power. You're losing a little bit of torque, exposing that back shoulder a little bit more. But I mean, other than this, it's awesome. Your weight's still back. You're not leaning forward. You got a good angle with your arm back here. All right, everything's pretty solid. Just that the fact that this is just popped open a little bit early. All right, so just make sure you're you're using your right side to open up and not pulling with that left elbow. And where that kind of comes from is when we get back here, you can see your glove gets out and you get this elbow to lock out front. All right, so once we kind of lock everything, that just kind of makes it easier to kind of pull. All right, so try not to let that front elbow get locked. All right, this back elbow is not locked. Just always try to have a little bit of bend in it where you're not getting fully locked out, and that will help you kind of keep that elbow to be able to kind of rotate out in front over your front foot a little bit more. All right, so then through that release point, you're going to get a lot more power. So here's where it kind of breaks down. All right, your left side is starting to pull, and what that does is that pulls everything kind of towards the left, but what it does is it pulls this back foot up off the ground. All right, and so as we start ticking forward here, you can see back foot comes off the ground right here. All right, and now you're releasing the ball with one foot on the ground, so it's kind of in between there. So let's just call this your release point. All right, so you can see back foot is collapsed. You almost have a straight spine, and you're releasing the ball right here. All right, your head is behind that back foot, so you're basically kind of flat with everything. All right, so I'm going to leave this marker right here, kind of where the ball is getting released, and your ball path here. We'll kind of mark that there. All right, so that's your ball path here. So we go right to there. Okay, so that's pretty flat. All right, so what we want to try to see here is you staying through this back leg, and when you keep this glove closed and out a little bit farther, what you're going to see is you're going to be able to drive farther through that back leg. So through your release point, oops, I just erased those marks. So through your release point, at this point, your back foot's still going to be on the ground. You're going to be completely extended with your back leg, and that's going to cause you to get that head and that chest down over that front foot. All right, so now you're creating more of a triangle shape here. You're not locking out right there, but what that's going to do is that's now going to get your hand, maybe somewhere out here with that ball. You're going to get closer to the target. You're going to be releasing the ball closer to those hitters, and now you're going to get a little bit more angle on that baseball. So instead of kind of going flat, you're going to get a little bit more down angle, which helps with breaking pitches, with velocity and everything. So just that little early pull with that left side is kind of causing you to pull off your back leg. So the more you can stay through that back leg, the harder you're going to throw. You're going to have a little bit more accuracy, sharper breaking stuff. So that's just the biggest thing for you. Everything else is really good. So just kind of work on those few things. But anyways, man, thanks for making it out to camp. I hope you have a great time. I hope you have a great season this year, and hopefully we'll see you with ABC.